Okay, we're looking at the church. Now you must understand that the church basically, it either can mean two things. It can either mean the physical building, or it can mean what? If I refer to the church, put your hands up, please. What else can it refer to? Pardon? Yes, you had it right, but I just didn't hear you. Okay, the religion as a whole. Okay, all right. So you must understand, in the Middle Ages, religion was everything. Okay, basically, whatever God said and did happened. It ruled your life, right? God is omniscient, meaning He can see all of us, etc. Now we all still believe these things, okay, but it wasn't as detrimental, as strict, yes, to your personal life in this way. Okay, is there anybody who is Catholic here, or Roman Catholic as such? Okay, right. So, okay, but yet, and you must understand that Catholicism, being Catholic, was first, of course, the first most form of Christianity, okay? And it started in Rome and Italy, etc., and carried on from there. But yet, okay, so when we talk about the church, and we're talking mainly about Catholic churches, etc. So everything, religion was everything. It governed every aspect of your life, okay? Central of all life happened around the church. The Catholic Church played a major role in people's lives. We had a local church, okay, which was the center of all town life. Now, what is the difference between a town and a village? Yeah.
A town is bigger and a village is smaller.
Okay, it's got to do with the number of people that live there. So before you start, can you maybe just go see what's happening behind you? Because it's quite a noise and I'm trying to teach. Okay, so it was the center of, a village is smaller, okay, and also generally a village doesn't have a church. It is known as a town because of the number of people who live there, and it has a church.
Yes.
Okay, and this was huge obviously in the development and the population of people, etc. Okay, people were baptized there. Okay, you weren't born in a church. Where were you born back in the Middle Ages? Wherever your mother happened to be. Okay, generally at home. There were no hospitals in these days. You were born at home. Okay. So, you were baptized in the church, okay, to mean that you had, you were brought into God's family in a proper way in the church. You were confirmed there. What is confirmation? Yes. Okay, it's when you're a little bit older. Alessia, you're not being confirmed yet. Okay, generally when you are, it depends what form of Christianity you are in. Okay, but generally about, I think Roman Catholic is about 10 years old, and in Methodist and Baptist, when you're about 15, 16 years old, you go through a course where it's affirming your belief in God and your trust in God. It's confirmation, okay? Yes?
Ma'am, so if you lived in a village, you couldn't get baptized and confirmed, or you had to travel far?
You had to travel, and you would travel. You would.
Really?
Okay, because goodness, you needed to be baptized soon after your birth. Because, otherwise God was probably going to damnate you and you probably would die. Okay, and this is also, you must understand, infant mortality. What does that mean? What is an infant? Baby. Mortality?
You're going to die.
Okay, you will die. So the rate of infant mortality meant that the babies would die so often before the age of 3. Okay, so that's why people also baptized them, because if they were in God's family, they would be looked after, and if they did die, they would go to heaven. Okay, so you wanted your child baptized. The same as confirmation. You were also married in the local church, and of course you were buried there. So, when you are at home and you're doing your homework and stuff, you need to sit and watch the Tour de France, which is on at the moment. Okay, you might not find the cycling side of it very entertaining. Right? I do. I follow it quite religiously. Love it. But what is most impressive about the Tour de France, other than anybody who rides for 3 weeks and over 3,000 kilometers must be insane in their heads. But anyway, what else is incredible about the Tour de France?
The scenery.
The scenery. And as they are going through these towns and villages and things, they come across all these churches, monasteries, cathedrals, houses, stately homes, etc. And they give you information about them and when they were built, etc. And they are exquisite. And you can watch that in live time in the afternoons, okay?
Ma'am, in stage 14, they passed the Leon Opera House.
Okay.
It was like huge.
Right, okay? So churches were very important. It's also one of my favorite things to do with my son, my eldest son Robert, is to go around churches in England, all right? And you go and look at the gravestones. And you go and find the gravestones that are closest to the church were either the wealthiest people, and they would also be your oldest graves. Okay, and then as they go out, then it goes to more and more modern times as time goes on, okay? But it's quite, I mean, there are graves in my son's local church, there are graves there that were there from like the 1800s. And it's like incredible. Our history sort of doesn't really go that far. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Push pause. Oh no, maybe don't. Who would you like? Okay. No. Right. Okay. Right. Now if you have a look at your notes, I have summarized most of these things that are on your notes there already. Now we come to this, the Catholic Church, okay? So the religion as a whole. Who is the head of the Catholic Church?
The Pope.
Right, the Pope. What about the, okay, so right there, there's a line there next to your work there, right there, the head of the Catholic Church. Head or the leader of the Catholic Church. Please don't tear it up now, just write on it. We'll fix it up later. Doesn't matter if it's in the wrong order, as long as it's in your book.
Yeah.
Okay, then we come down, we've got the clergy. Okay, now these are the next people up. These are the men who ran the cathedrals. Okay, they were in charge of the cathedrals. And they are the bishops and the abbots. You also got cardinals. Okay, so on the line next to these ones, right? Okay, please write there that they, not ran, what can we say? Instead of ran, give me a synonym for ran. Organized, not organized.
Managed.
Managed, thank you.
Ma'am, on both bishops and
Yeah, there's one line to the right of them. Okay. Right? Manage the cathedrals.
Ma'am, what's
Yes.
the difference to the circular and the regular?
Secular means that they were very religious, okay, and they had to abide by very strict rules, whereas the regular clergy, the abbots and things, their rules and everything that they lived by were not as strict, okay. The history of the Catholic religion is enormous, okay, right? The Catholic religion was so huge it even has its own city, known as? Smallest city in the world. The Vatican City. Right. Anybody been there?
No.
Okay. Maybe we need, see why we need to go to Europe. Okay? You may. Right. Okay, then of course we have the priests and the superiors of convents and monasteries. Okay? Convent is basically where nuns were and monasteries where the monks were. Alright? But they're religious places. Now these here, they ran the local church. Instead of ran, managed the local churches. This is, please, very simplified for you. Then, of course, we have the friars. Friar, did you ever hear the name friar? Yeah. Friar type from Robin Hood. Okay, friars, monks, and nuns. Okay, and they helped with the everyday running of churches, etc., or alms homes. I'll explain that to you just now. Okay. monasteries and the churches. Okay. They would also, oh, you can add here, sorry, alms homes, schools. Alms, schools. It will all become clearer to you in a few minutes. It might be as clear as mud right now, but that's at the moment. Can you see there, Stefano? Is it okay?
No, it's just a big layer on the top.
Okay.
Where you manage the
Cathedrals, churches?
They won't be able to see. Just leave it like that.
Will they not be able to see? Oh, but they should be able to write it.
Yes, ma'am, because you
Okay.
said it. They can plug everything.
Right. Can I move on? Okay. They also, all of these people here, all right, especially the first two, the bishops and the priests, etc., all right, they often served as counsel to the king and his court. What does counsel mean? Yes?
Ma'am, isn't it like a large group of people that serve the king?
They did, and what did they? And in court, they helped helped him make the rules, etc. Like at the council of our school, right? They helped Mr. Whitelaw with the management of the school, etc. Right? Okay. Here's pictures of the Pope. Does anybody know who is the current Pope? Gareth.
Pope Francis.
Very good, Pope Francis. And maybe next week we might do a research video on him. He's quite a fascinating man. He even used to be a bouncer at a nightclub, and he is now the Pope of the Catholic Church. Okay. Yes?
Ma'am, when Roald Dahl was still alive, ma'am, his old headmaster that used to beat him, ma'am, he became the Pope.
Okay. So there's lots of hope for some of you as well. Okay. Right? Yes.
Ma'am, he was the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yes. And then he went up into becoming. You've obviously got to work your way up through the ranks as such. Yes, McKelty?
What's counselor?
Okay. Like a bodyguard at the door of a nightclub that they don't do. If there's trouble, they throw you out. Those big buff guys that throw you out. You all know what buff means. Okay. Right? Oh, incredibly. All right. That is why it is still very dominated, like in the Catholic Church. You won't find female priests, etc. Okay? Yes?
Ma'am, how do they choose the next Pope?
It's a whole big ceremony that gets done. Want to explain it, Gareth?
Ma'am, I don't know that much
Yeah?
about it, ma'am, but sometimes, but this has happened only like, I think twice in the whole history of popes, ma'am. If they manage to pick a pope, they shoot white smoke into
Okay.
the air from the...
So you have no, it happens, okay, if there's not a definite person to be the next Pope, okay? So now if we have to select out of all of you who becomes the next Pope, all right? Mr. Jabir and I will sit with all the other teachers and we will vote on you, okay? And if we come up to a unanimous decision, so we decide, yes, it's going to be somebody, then black smoke is risen, okay? If we can't come up to a decision, then white smoke is sent out of the chimney, okay? So it's a huge, big process.
Ma'am, so what does the Pope do, like, once you, like, when you're a Pope, ma'am, what do you do?
Well, he runs ceremonies, you see, I'm not a Catholic myself, okay? Yes, Francois.
Isn't he like a pastor kind of thing?
He is, but he's much higher up, okay? So he is the like king of the church, okay? So he does give ceremonies, etc. He does do blessings. He goes around, he visits countries, passing on his blessing. He goes in a cool car called the Pope Mobile, all right, which is heavily got glass body, armored plates on it and everything, because there are people who are against the Catholic religion and would want to shoot and kill him, okay, assassinate him as such, all right? And it also means he can stand there and he can see everybody and bless them as all. You must understand that this man in the, all right, these are two different men, but in the Catholic religion, he is the closest person to God, okay? The highest person to God, remember like Mapungupwe, and obviously then can talk directly to God, etc. Okay, spends a lot of time in prayer, but he is very important to the church. Rohan.
Ma'am, what would happen if someone did assassinate the Pope? Exactly my question.
Well, they'd be very upset, first of all, and then there would be a state funeral given to him, and then they would have to elect a new Pope. and then send out everybody else to go and find out who killed him.
Would there be
Okay.
like a war happening?
No, there wouldn't be a war.
The person that killed him, would they execute him? Or would they just send
It
him to
depends. Well, you see, I don't think that Italy have, it depends where it was, in what country, and if the person was a citizen of that country, because then it depends if the death penalty is viable there or not. Okay, so which is quite a sad thing, but well, that's your own opinion. Yes, Gareth, and then Luke.
I went to visit, I think it was St. Paul's Cathedral,
Yes.
but we got to see the machine that actually makes the white and the black smoke.
Okay.
It's really quite amazing how advanced the machine is considering when it was made.
And they still use the same one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You must understand it's steeped in tradition. Okay, the Catholic Church is steeped in tradition. Many things happen over a long time, etc. Okay, and it happens in a certain reason. Luke?
Ma'am, so if someone has someone from the Pope been killed or
Assassinated, I'm not too sure. You can go home and find it out. No, enough now about the Pope, etc. Right, okay. So, duties of the church that they had, alright? They had specific things that you had to perform, alright? Spiritual guidance to lead you in the right way, right? Don't throw your paper on the floor like that, Kashil, because God is watching you. You will be damnated, okay? So you need to pick it up. We are guiding you correctly. Pick it up and put it in the bin. Right. Everything that you did in the Middle Ages in life was governed by religion, right? Okay? Especially something even you would see as mundane. Kashil knows that he's not going to be damnated because he left the paper on the floor. What does damnated mean? Damnated to? You won't go to heaven, you will go to hell. Okay, you are wrongdoing, etc. Okay, they also provided quite often some government issues. They helped the government run the village or the town that they were in. They also, the church had to provide education and education to the sick and the poor. They also had to look after them. Okay, so you can understand when something like the bubonic plague was going around, the black plague, all right, it was meant the church had to look after, like almost the pandemic now.